Okay, we are looking at Monday, Introduction to Computers. Okay, we've got some Ethernet to do and some wireless work. And then we're talking about the network layer. And we're doing this. We are on week 7. Okay. Okay, so week 7, day 12. Thing we did, the students on a plain piece of paper filled in the OSI model. I gave them this, I said was the OSI model, and I gave them the numbers and this information down here for the physical part. Then they were to write it out and try to explain each of the layers. And then I collected them. Alright. So then we filled this in. We talked about the physical layer, all of these items down here. Okay. We reviewed UDP, unshielded, twisted pair, and coax. We talked about Wi-Fi, which we were going to use. And we talked about fiber. We talked about the differences, how Wi-Fi is becoming more popular because of the performance of Wi-Fi. Coax was thought at a time that was going to be more dominant than UTP, unshielded twisted pair, but the quality of this has improved so much that this now that we're up to category 6, is really quite good for performance and easier to lay than coax to install and so forth. We talked about the rhyme or reason to using wireless a little bit compared to putting wired in, and of course we compared it to fiber. How do we get the bits? The physical layer decides how those bits are going to move or be represented across the particular medium. We talked about the data link, a couple protocols here, Wi-Fi, typical Ethernet, and then our topic today was network layer, IP addressing. Okay. We talked a little bit about the other layers too, but this is what we are going to talk about. We're focusing now on routing. We're going to configure routers. This will be the setup on Friday. The student will get a switch and a router. They'll need to configure them, and then that router will be connected to a multi-layer switch, which then will connect out to the internet. So we talked about the data coming down from the top, transport layer, and becoming a packet, adding the IP information, and it's really it's just focused on the path, and it's not checking to make sure information's getting there. We're not putting any information in. Like on Ethernet, we had the frame check sequence. You know, maybe something like the cyclic redundancy check. You maybe have heard of that. We probably may have talked about that before. So, no, it's just best effort. You know, how is the information going to get there? It's best effort. Now, things happen at the transport layer, like if it's TCP and so forth. But basically here, we're just interested about IP addressing, best path, best effort to get it there. All right. So then we looked at the scenario. We had that switch 8 was the switch I configured in the lab on Monday, and that's connected to a router, which connected into the NIACC network, which got us in the internet. And what we attached today was an access point. So this is Ethernet between the access point and here, but we connected devices, then that would be Wi-Fi. Let me clarify that. So that would be Wi-Fi. Okay? And then we had, the students did a couple things. Once they got their PCs connected in, then they had to telnet into the switch. Then we actually had them telnet into the router. And to telnet to the router, they had to use the default gateway. And then we use this scenario to talk about the routing. Into the router, routing table, up to how this defaults out, up to the, actually it was a multi-layer switch here, and then how we get into the internet. We looked at the routing table in the router, and we were able to see here gateway of last result, which is really the default gateway. And then we talked about, we had them ping this address, and then we talked about how the packet would go through the router, how it would connect to come out this Ethernet port. It would match up the bits. We talked about matching 16 bits because that's the network part. Okay. And then we talked about if we went to somewheres out on the internet, like the other day we had that 50 dot something dot, we had that address out on the internet. We talked about that. Then that address wouldn't match the routing table, so then it would get to here, to the default route, which would still, then it would send it out this fast Ethernet to the next hop. Alright, so we're going to be doing the labs. We're going to probably combine a couple labs into one on Friday. And then we'll also on Friday have a little bit of time to do an assessment on the first 4 units. Alright, so that's it for today.